Huge amounts of official economic data came out this morning. We learned that wages are still going up, unemployment is steady, and amidst this, there's almost 1 million vacancies, with the share of the workforce claiming benefits continuing to rise. Well, to make sense of it all, I'm joined by GB News' economics and business editor Liam Halligan, who joins me with On the Money. Liam, always a pleasure. A huge amount of data to chew through there. Liam, you're the man with a plan. Can you talk us through it?
Yeah, lots of data was released by the Office for National Statistics at 7 o'clock this morning, a big data dump. And this is all ahead of tomorrow's data on inflation, the inflation number for December, which will be very closely watched, Martin, because it will help to determine what the Bank of England does with interest rates when it next meets the members of the Monetary Policy Committee. And that next meeting, which lots of people are waiting for, is on the 1st of February. So let's have a quick look now. I've got a graphic here. I know you like a graphic, Martin, and GB News Radio listeners can keep their ears peeled. I've got a graphic here with some of the data that came out this morning, just a snapshot. We learnt this morning that wages rose 6.6% on average between September and November 2023 compared to the same period in 2022. That's a pretty chunky rise. It's ahead of inflation, which means what we call real wages, take-home pay after inflation, is rising. But that wage increase is down from 7.3% during the previous 3-month period compared to 2022. Unemployment was unchanged at 4.2%, a far cry from the 10% when we were kids, Martin. So that's still pretty low historically. But as you just said in your introduction there are still almost 1 million vacancies in this country, 934,000 vacancies across the UK. Despite that low unemployment and despite those vacancies, we know that the number of people claiming universal benefit and benefits in general continues to rise, not least since the COVID pandemic, when so many of us were paid to stay at home. And we asked our superb West Midlands correspondent, Jack Carson, to test the mood of the streets of Birmingham about that increase in benefit claimants.
Making the people that sit at home and maybe some people would say aren't actively job seeking.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that about, to be honest with you. Especially kids coming out of school. I know, for example, a few kids, I said, why don't you get a job at McDonald's? The money's good there. Well, I weren't working there. You know, things like that. But there's a lot of genuine people I think they're harassing. I know a few friends who are quite bad, disabled, and they're really stressed, and they haven't, get them back to work. They're genuine, they can't work.
I think it's quite difficult. You'll have people that really want to get into work, and then you have people that don't want to get into work. But I think it's a really difficult market, because what's happening, especially for graduates, is what has been happening from my previous experience is that, they're not being given a chance because they haven't got the experience.
I should try and get out and get a job. Basically, that's the rule. We've always worked till we're retired. We was never out of work. And I know it was a lot easier. You could finish one job one day and straight into a job the next day. So it's nothing like that now, and you have to do CVs and everything like that. But there are jobs out there.
Yeah, superb from Jack Carson. I agree there, Liam. And there's a huge conversation, a national conversation to have about benefits and the political fallout for Rishi Sunak. He's a bit busy today. We'll do that another time. Liam, I want to ask you about the wages going up 6.6%. Everybody likes a bit of brass in their pocket. Good news for the punters. But will it be good news for Andrew Bailey at the Bank of England? Will it put pressure on interest rates?
I'll come to that in 1 second. Just finally on the benefit bill going up and vacancies for now. What we have in this country is that we have a lot of what economists call in the jargon geographic mismatch in our labour market and occupational mismatch. What does all that mean? What's that bloke on the telly talking about? What I'm talking about with geographic mismatch is often where the jobs are, there aren't enough people, and where the jobs aren't, there are too many people. That's geographic mismatch. And the occupational mismatch is that a lot of those 934,000 odd vacancies, the people who are available to work sometimes don't have the skills to fill them. We've got a dearth of skills in this country. We need more apprenticeships and so on. Now, you say rightly that wages have gone up 6.6%. It's still quite a big number. That's why consumer confidence is rising gradually. That's why retail sales are getting a bit stronger. That's why Rishi Sunak wants to go long, wants to delay a general election until the back end of next year, because real wages are rising. A feel-good factor is starting to come down the track. And crucially, he's hoping the Bank of England will cut interest rates once, twice, maybe 3 times before an election in September, October or November. The trouble is, though, wage rises are still quite high. They're still above inflation. And the Bank of England, when it meets next on the 1st of February, I don't think they're going to cut interest rates in February. Probably not in March or April either. The first cut may be in maybe April, probably May, in my view, looking at current data. So that's the scores on the doors. Mortgage rates are still coming down in anticipation of those rate cuts. And then there are those geopolitical whiz-bangs that you and I have been talking about on this show for a long time, Martin. The possibility you could have an oil or gas price spike because of, freight tankers not being able to get through the Suez Canal, particularly not being able to get in and out of the Persian Gulf, given aggro between Iran and the Western world, given that the Houthi rebels backed by Iran keep trying to block the Suez Canal. So look, it's economics, it's complicated, there's no firm answers. My base case, Martin, is that inflation will keep coming down, that when the number comes out tomorrow, it will be something like 3.8 or 3.9% inflation during the year to December, much lower than 11% where it was at the back end of 2022, but still more than double the Bank of England's 2% target. So I think we are on a trajectory towards lower inflation, the cost of living crisis easing and interest rates coming down, but we can't quite be sure. And that's why there's so much political risk for the Tories as they try and map out a path to an election in the autumn of this year.